Hi guys, this is Devnath from Officers IAS Academy. In this episode of History Shots, we are going to talk about the Rowlatt Act, the Rowlatt Satyagraha and the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. To understand these events, we have to pan a little before and see what happened on the national scene. British had this clever and cunning policy of giving constitutional reforms on one side and on the other side repressing all those who wanted independence, who asked for more powers and more autonomy. So this was called as the carrot and the stick policy. The carrot was dangled in front of the Indians in terms of the Montague-Chelmsford reforms, and the stick represented by the Rowlatt Act. The Montague-Chelmsford reforms, of course, was to appease the moderate nationalists and the other who believed in constitutional forms of struggle. Amongst other things, it increased the number of Indians in the provincial legislative councils and also the central legislative council. It did give out separate electorates to Sikhs and Europeans. The separate electorates for Muslims had been given in the earlier Morlimento reforms. On the other side, just to quell any act of violence against this constitutional development or any consternation from the Indian side, it took out the stick of the Rowlatt Act. Now, this act was a preventive detention act. People could be arrested without trial, without conviction in a court of law, thereby suspending the most important civil liberty or civil right of habeas corpus, the bulwark of civil liberties. All nationalists and all Indian people were quite aroused by this. They did not like it. Remember, it was this time that the World War I was also happening. On the other side, Gandhi was slowly emerging on the national front. He tested the waters of Satyagraha and political opposition against the British through the Champaran Satyagraha, the first civil disobedience movement, the Ahmedabad mill strike, which was the first hunger strike, and also the Kheda Satyagraha, the first non-cooperation movement. So he thought this was an opportune moment to protest against the Rowlatt Act through a satyagraha. He thought the masses were ready for a national struggle and he wanted to bring the masses into the freedom struggle. Till now, they had not been included. It was confined to the upper echelons of the Congress and a lot of other nationalist leaders. Masses had not been aroused till then. So he thought this was the moment when the masses have to be aroused. And so he called out for the Rowlatt Satyagraha against the repressive Rowlatt Act. So the plan was to conduct civil disobedience of certain laws and public hartal, mass public hartal in places against the British officers or the British government. Now, this satyagraha had the principles of non-violence, but only in the mind of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. The masses had not yet understood the import and the importance of non-violence. So even before the movement began on 6th April 1919, there was mass violence on many pockets of the country, mainly in Maharashtra, especially Bombay Presidency, the Calcutta Presidency, the Delhi Presidency, and also Punjab. In Punjab, the situation was really revolutionary. The war was going on, World War was going on, so there was forcible recruitments. There was martial law imposed in certain places. There were a lot of repressions done by the British masters. At this juncture, on April the 13th, 1919, Baisakhi Day, peaceful protesters from Punjab, they gathered Jallianwala Bagh to protest against the arrest of their leaders, Saifuddin Kichlo and Dr. Satyapal. These were unarmed people. These were non-violent people. All that they were looking for was peaceful means of struggle. But on that day, General Dyer, Reginald Dyer, he ordered these people had to be fired upon. The park had only one exit. There were almost 1,000 people gathered there peacefully to protest against the British masters. There were also children. One child was barely 6 weeks old. But all this was not considered by General Dyer. He ordered to shoot upon the unarmed, peaceful protesters there, and more than 1,000 people lost their life. This caused ripples not only in India, but all across the world. Rabindranath Tagore, who was at the head of the literary movement and also the national movement of India, renounced his knighthood. Gandhiji was overwhelmed by the entire level of violence in the country. He was not prepared for this, and he did not encourage violence against the British or as a form of opposition. So he had to unfortunately call off the event. This year, 2019, we celebrate, or rather we observe the 100th anniversary, the centenary of the Jallianwala Bagh incident and the Rowlatt Satyagraha. Thank you.